Howdy, y'all. I think I might have figured something out for a transmission. I think what I'm going to do is put a manual in it. I got plenty of cars out here that have some clutch pedals in it. I can make something work good. I think, hopefully. Let me show you what I got here. This was on a 302, a 95 F-150. And it's a 5-speed manual. I don't know if it's a T5 or what it is. I have no idea. But it'll be enough for temporarily get me going. I'll have to change tails. But that's about it. I found the flywheel for it. My brother had it in his garage. And so he's going to be bringing that over and dropping it off to me. And so I still need a clutch and a pressure plate. But he's got a brand new pilot bearing and the flywheel for me. So he's bringing that over. And that's what we're going to end up doing. Again, I got everything else. I got the master cylinder there. Be easy to hook something up for that. So just put it right through the firewall on the driver's side and hook it right to a clutch pedal. I just got to figure out a clutch pedal for it. That's it. Of course, dirt all over the thing. It's been sitting out in the desert, so my whole property's desert. But I can get it going. This will work. I just have to get some good gear oil for it and go from there, I think. Get it all cleaned up, get it painted. At least the engine's running good. That's a plus. Fires up every time and runs now. It feels like it's got plenty of power. I will still have to get an emergency brake for it for launching it, but that's fine. And I don't know, I have to get a decent clutch and pressure plate for it, not just a stock OEM one, because I don't think that'll hold up trying to launch it. Probably just burn the clutch right out. So I'll see what I can come up with. I don't have that much horsepower, but probably too much for a stock 302 clutch and pressure plate. I'm probably only sitting around 300 horsepower with the way I've done the engine. Between the porting, the headers, the roller cam, and stuff, so that's probably what we're sitting at. It'll be enough to turn those tires, that's for sure. As long as the clutch holds up. But that's where we're at, guys. I also just wanted to give a little update on the Saleen Replica. We have it back here in the shop again. We did some more work on it. Put brand new Bosch fuel injectors in it, new air filter, new plug wires, new plugs, and drained the fuel tank and put new premium fuel in it. Drained the tank completely, and for some reason it still runs exactly the same like crap. And when I check to see if everything's firing, it's not. It's like 2 of the cylinders, and one of them's always not firing, like number 5 will never fire. It doesn't matter if you switch plug wires or plugs, it still doesn't fire. And then the other one changes. Sometimes it's number 4, sometimes it's 3, doesn't fire. So what I'm thinking is a distributor shot. It's either got to be like the distributor or the computer. And so I'm guessing it's probably the distributor before I'd go to the computer. The distributor was used out of the junkyard, opened to the elements, had no cap on it when we got it, so quite possibly that's what's bad, so we just ordered another one. And we're waiting on that to get here. And hopefully that fixes the problem. Otherwise, the only thing left I could think of would be the computer. It just doesn't want to rev up, runs horrible. Timing is set dead on. Actually, I gave it a little bit of advance because it seemed to run a little better at around 12, 13 degrees than what it did at 10. So, I don't know. Kind of where we're sitting. Howdy, y'all. Back out here in the shop. I'm not working on the drag car today. Today I have my daily in the shop. I'm having lots of problems with it since the day I got it. You've probably seen a past video in the past of me messing with this thing, trying to get it run right. It's a 97 Ranger with a 3.0 four-wheel drive. Currently the four-wheel drive is not working. I think it's because there's a wire broken that goes from the electric motor on the transfer case to the transfer case. And that's not the big deal, it's how it runs. And I've got some codes. And I'll show you the codes and what we're trying to figure out here. First I'll show you the truck. And there's my motor. Yes, I also ordered some fuel injectors for it, and I'll show you why here in just a minute. Alright fellas, here we go. I just got in the car, turned the ignition on, plugged in the tester, and I'm going to flip it around and show you the tester. Alright, let's see if I can scoot back a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and run the diagnostic. Codes, so there's 9 codes. Code by manufacturer. Board. Insufficient coolant temperature for closed loop fuel control. GL125, I have no idea what that means. Coolant temperature. Vehicle speed sensor A. That's weird. I never had a problem with the speed sensor on this before. PO500. Purge flow sensor circuit. High output P1445. Lack of HO2S11 fuel trim at limit. P1130. P1132, sensor indicates rich. System 2 rich, bank 2. PO175. PO125, oh, back to 1. Okay, what I'm going to do is clear these codes. I never used to have all these codes. I'm not sure exactly what's going on there. But let's go back, let's erase these codes. And we'll go back out. Okay. Make sure it's not reading any codes again. Vehicle has no fault codes, okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to shut the vehicle off, turn it back on, start it, let it run for a second, turn it back off, and then turn the key back on and try to read the codes again. See what happens. Give me just a minute. When you first start it, it has no codes at all. But then, shut it off, turn it back on, fire it up, and then I get a check engine light. And yeah, I got a theft light, but that's because I put a new ignition in here with a new key, and I'm just using a push button on the starter to start it. That's why this F light's going off. Man, that looks blurry. Alright, now I'm going to read the code. Alright, let's see what we get here. Alright, we got P1445. That's currently the only code. Purge flow sensor circuit, high output. And I replaced every one of those sensors already. Paid $105 just for one of them. They're like, here, let me show you what they are. But what that usually indicates is a vacuum leak. Oh, give me just a second. Get around here and I'll show you. Right here is one of them. That one's been replaced. There's one right back there behind the coil pack. That one's been replaced. Right there. And then there's another one up underneath by the fuel tank. I'm not going to climb underneath there and show you, but there's another one right there. I replaced that entire cylinder, made sure all the hoses were good that connects to it, and I replaced the solenoid, and everything is good down there. So the system running too rich comes on after you drive it for a little bit, after it's running for a little bit. That code shows up every time. Doesn't matter how many times I've erased it. Always system run too rich, bank 2, which usually indicates that either it's got a vacuum leak of some kind, or that fuel injector on bank 2, which is the passenger side, is leaking fuel. It's dripping through. So I got to tear the plenum off, the intake off, change out the fuel injectors, all the gaskets on the top of the engine, and look for any vacuum leaks, and I'm gonna pull this hood off and set it off to the side. So that's the plan. So we'll do that and fast forward. You can just kind of watch. Alright, got all the way down to the plenum being off. A lot of hoses. I'm gonna have to figure out how to put this stuff back on when I go to do it. But it's all unplugged, ready to go. All I need to do now is to, since this line is flexible, I probably don't need to disconnect it, because I have to take the fuel rails off so I can put the new fuel injectors in when they get here. They're in the mail. So I'm really not going to go any further right now. And this right here, oh well, that's a pretty, let's stiff line. I thought it was going to be, it's a little flexible, but not much. But I have a whole new gasket set for this. I still have to take off this heater hose, this hose, the fuel rails, probably put a new thermostat in it. And the reason I took the radiator out is because it had a hole right in the middle of it. And it was, when I was driving down the road, the fan was just sucking it right into the belts, making the belt squeal. And the belt's tight, so it's pretty good. It ain't that. And then making the alternator light come on because the belt's slipping. It was getting covered in antifreeze anyways. I'll show you the hole here. It's right there. I don't know how it got bumped, but it's just a pinhole, just a small one, but it was enough, so. I got some other radiators I'm gonna try and get set up for it. I got plenty of vehicles out in my junkyard if one of these in here don't work. But that's where I'm at for right now, fellas, until the fuel injectors come in. I may take the rest of the hoses off and stuff while I'm waiting, but that's it. Yeah, when I looked up the code for System Bank Too Rich, it says it can throw a bunch of other codes if it was a vacuum leak, including that. And oh, that fuel pressure regulator right there is also brand new. So I did replace that, and the fuel filter in this, and the entire fuel pump assembly is all brand new. Every piece back there in that tank is new. I took that whole tank, it was all the way down. I completely cleaned it out and dried it with cloth, power washed it. There wasn't a speck of anything in that tank when I was done. And put it all back up in there, and I've been running it ever since for months now, and runs like crap. I mean, absolute crap. Sometimes it has no power at all. You can't rev it over 3,000 when you're trying to drive it. When it's under load, it just misses and bucks and jumps around, and horrible. And so I'm replacing the fuel injectors, looking for any vacuum breaks, going through all the vacuum lines up here, making sure everything is sealed and there is no vacuum leaks of any kind, including the intake. And then throwing it all back together with new injectors in it and seeing what happens. I'm really hoping it fixes it. If nothing else, I'm hoping it runs better. I also need to get a set of plugs and wires for this while I have it torn down and apart. Make it a lot easier to get to the plug wire, or the spark plug. So probably change the oil too. This has never had oil change since I bought it. I bought it with used oil in it, and when I pulled the dipstick, it looked clean. You could see through it, and it looked like new oil. So, and it was overfull by like half a quart. So I never worried about it. It's never used a drop of oil. It's still a half a quart overfull to this day. So oil is definitely not a problem. But that's where we're at, guys. I'll let you go. I'll quit babbling. Bye. I'm going to show you guys something real quick. Flip this around. I was just pulling these heater hoses off before I went in the house. You know, I was calling it a night. Check this out. How loose they are. They're not even tightened down, the intake bolts. But that was kind of hilarious. I wanted to show you. Alright, I just went ahead and finished stripping it down to where I need to be, so that when my parts get here, I can go ahead and start. So I'll flip this around. I have to take one rocker off. I had to take the valve covers off to get the intake off because they were in the way. The ears of the valve covers were. And then you have to take one rocker off, one push rod, because see how they have space between each one of these for the push rods to go through? This one is the only one on the entire thing that doesn't. All the rest are clear. So you got to take one rocker off to get the intake off on these 3.0 V6s. All right, fellas, I cleaned up the intake really good, and I siliconed both sides of the intake gasket, both the water ports, the oil seals, and the air ports on both sides, so it's completely sealed. And I also put the valve covers back on here. I'll show you. See, so I got the intake all sealed up and on and torqued down, and I got both valve covers on and torqued down. The problem I ran into so far is this piece that screws in right there into the water jacket area. Let me see. I found it here. I'll show it to you. So it's this piece right here, threads in, and the barb that goes to a heater hose just snapped clean off. And it's still, I don't know if you'll be able to see it or not. Yeah, still in that heater hose right there. So I got to dig that out, go out to the junkyard, grab one of these off one of the other motors, and bring it up here. And hopefully it's in better condition than this one was. Ay, ay, ay. Well, howdy fellas, my fuel injectors finally came in. Here it is Monday, but they got here at decent speed. I can't complain. Here they are. Package nice, quick delivery, decent delivery, you know, and there they are. I don't know what brand they are. They're unbranded, but they're supposed to be for this engine, so here we go. Well, I don't know if you can see me or not, but I did go ahead and finish the truck up and got it out of the shop, took it for a test drive, brought it back, and there it is running. Seems to be doing pretty good. So, except for a little bit of a squeaky belt. But I guess time will tell. But so far it seems good.